Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda Griggs. I'm excited to share with you a few of the yoga postures I feel are an integral part of our daily practice. So you will need 2 yoga blocks, a yoga strap with a decent buckle. You could use a couple belts put together, a blanket or 2, and if you have it, a pillow or a bolster. So let's get started. The first pose we'll be doing is Virasana or Hero's Pose. So you'll come onto your knees on your blanket and bring the knees together. You could use a strap around the thighs to keep the knees together. We'll be stepping the feet wide to create space. We'll be sitting back between the legs. So start off with a yoga block and a blanket to sit back onto. So you want to take and hold on to the calves and draw the calves off to the side as you sit back onto your support. Sitting up nice and tall, just notice how that feels. If you're not feeling a whole lot, you can start to lower down a little deeper into the pose. And as the pose evolves for you, again, pulling the calves out and sitting down onto your support. Now eventually, and you'll have to choose, after practicing this for some time, you'll be able to sit all the way onto the floor between the legs. So once you find your place, take and spread the toes out and notice that the toes are pointing directly back and the hips are inside of the heels. So we'll be here for a little while, rolling the shoulders back, pulling the belly in, and just allowing the thighs and the knees to open. So while we're here, let's take a couple arm variations. We'll start with interlocking the hands, pressing the webbings of the hands together, pressing the palms forward, starting to straighten out the elbows. We'll roll the shoulders onto the back and begin to lift the palms up into the sky, keeping those webbings nice and tight. Now, if the elbows start to bend, press up through the palms and squeeze the biceps towards the ears. Pull the belly in, lower ribs in, and lift up through the hands. Once you've been here for a bit and get comfortable, you can challenge yourself by taking the arms back behind the ears. Again, stretching up through the palms, pressing down through the sitting bones, and pulling those lower ribs in. Notice your breath here and the expansion through your side body. So these arm variations are a great way to hang out in Virasana or Hero's Pose and let that evolve for you. So let's slowly release the hands back down and change sides. So the changing of the sides is just changing the interlace of the hands. So other pinky in front, pressing those palms forward, rolling the shoulders onto the back, lifting the chest, and slowly taking the hands up overhead, trying to keep the webbing of the hands pressing in and together. Take any bend out of the elbows by pressing up through the palms, squeezing the biceps to the ears, and slowly starting to take those arms back behind the ears. Now if the ribs press forward, pull the belly in and the lower ribs in, and stretch up a little bit higher. And again, notice your breath here. And keep stretching up through the palms. Beautiful, and we'll slowly release. You can always pause the video and spend a little bit more time in those arm variations. The second arm variation we'll do while we're in Virasana is Gomukhasana arms. So this is where you need your strap, a loop at the end of the strap. We'll start with taking the strap over the right shoulder. So you'll be able to see this at the back of my body. So we'll go ahead and take the left hand back behind and find that loop from the strap and hook the left hand into the loop. We're going to close out the space between our left bicep and our side body, bringing that arm in. And then we're going to tick-tock that left hand up the center of the back. Now securing that hand there, let's reach and rise our right arm to the sky, bicep to the ear. We just worked on that in the other arm variation. And then patting ourselves on the back with that hand. Find a connection to the strap or walking those hands together to connect the fingers. Lift the tip of the right elbow up, curling the bicep towards the ear, lifting the chest and feeling the hands press into the center of the back, broadening the front of the chest. Looking forward, evening out your shoulders, again, reaching up through the tip of the right elbow, and take the left shoulder back and down. This variation is very good for opening up space to the shoulders to create a little better posture, broadening that space through the chest. So again, notice your breath here in this pose. And we'll slowly release right arm and left arm. And so we'll do the other side. So we'll take the strap over the left shoulder with the loop at the end of the strap. And we'll take the right hand back behind to take our hand within the loop. Now close off the space between the right bicep and the side body and use the left hand on the strap to tick-tock the right hand up the center of the back. Once you've secured that hand there, now we'll lift the left arm up, bicep towards the ear, stretch through the side body and pat yourself on the back. Find that strap. You may be able to walk your hands closer together and even clasp the fingers. Otherwise, holding tightly on the strap. Lifting the tip of the left elbow up, looking forward and curling that left bicep towards the ear. Sitting up tall, lower ribs in, belly up, and just noticing this side. Noticing any differences between the left and the right side. Now, often if you've had a shoulder injury or something going on, there'll be a difference in the two sides. Take another breath here, and then we'll slowly release the arms. And we'll set the strap off to the side. And just take a couple breaths through our arms. Inhaling, reaching, and exhaling, lowering. Just flushing out things that may have been going on in our shoulders, and just letting the blood flow back through. One more breath with the arms. So now I think we're ready to come out of Virasana or Hero's Pose and flush out through our knees. So we're going to come up onto our hands and our knees very slowly, coming into a tabletop position. And we'll start with the right leg, just stretching that right leg back, coming up onto the toes, reaching back through the heel, giving that leg a moment to recover from Virasana, letting that blood flow through. Then we'll bring the right knee back in and do the same with the left leg. So stretch back through that heel, engage the left thigh, and take a breath here. So we'll come back onto our knees and find a nice child's pose. So widening the knees, seating the hips back towards the heels. Now an option here is taking those two blocks that I mentioned before and placing the hands on top of the block. So if you have any shoulder sensitivities, you may not want to use the blocks, you just want to put your hands on the floor. But the blocks help us to get a little deeper into the shoulders, and this is a good recovery from Virasana as well. So we're going to seat to heels, reach forward through our hands, keep walking the hands forward, look forward, pull the chest forward through, and then see if you can lower your head down to the floor between the arms. And spend a few breaths here. Not only recovering through the legs from Hero's Pose, but getting a nice opening again through the arms and the shoulders. This, with the blocks, is a great preparation for downward facing dog. So we'll slowly come up and set those blocks aside, planting our hands to the yoga mat, middle fingers pointing forward. So let's do downward facing dog. So we'll come up onto the knees and turn our toes under, walking the legs back a little bit, and use our core to lift those hips up into the sky. So we'll come up onto the toes and press into the hands and bring our biceps in line with our ears, and press the hands forward and start to bring the heart towards the knees. Lift the hips up and keep the hips lifting away from the hands pressing down, and lower the heels away from the hips towards the floor. Now, if your heels don't quite make it down to the yoga mat, an option is to take the feet a little bit wider and lower the heels towards the floor. Again, chin is tucked towards the chest, ears in line with the biceps, and here we're creating lots of strength, but also stretching through the back of our body. Keep a strong connection of every knuckle pressing into the floor, pushing the hands forward and the feet pushing back as if you're gonna rip your yoga mat in half. And then reach those hips up a little bit higher. Adho Mukha Shavasana, downward facing dog. Beautiful, let's come out of downward facing dog and release to our knees and come around to a seated position. So those are just a couple of the poses that I wanted to share with you today, and I hope you enjoyed this short video and use it to deepen your practice. I suggest taking more time in each pose by pausing the video and getting a little bit deeper into each pose and taking more time or holding each side a little bit longer. So thank you so much for practicing with me and staying inspired through yoga. Namaste.